The second time Donald Trump has been named Times Person of the Year. Now, that's a title that grants him many new powers. What I think that includes is flight, invisibility, maybe the power to control time itself.
Absolutely.
More control than a president.
Maybe. That's my understanding.
What's become of Donald Trump is this: a decisive election victory, his criminal cases evaporating overnight, and now the news that he's been named Person of the Year from the planet's foremost personhood bestower.
I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually.
The magazine's pronouncement came as a huge shock to anyone who hasn't noticed almost every elected president from the past century has scored the title.
Some years, this is a hard choice. This year, not a hard choice.
But Donald was nonetheless moved by the declaration, reacting with a humble threatening of the press.
But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that.
He marked the occasion by ringing in the US Stock Exchange bell for the first time, and he really made the most of it. Times Person of the Year has often been contentious, with activists, political figures, and even you being granted the honour. Although the publication takes issue with that word, telling the Project,
Person of the Year is not an award or honour. It is a recognition of the person who had the most influence on the events of the year, for good or for ill.
On the other hand, Time famously considered Osama bin Laden for 2001's Person of the Year, eventually skirting the controversy by going with New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani instead. 2 years earlier, under pressure from Holocaust groups, they eventually decided against Adolf Hitler for Person of the Century. Moves that suggest there is a celebratory component to the title, something Trump definitely seems to feel.
It's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you.
So has Times picked the right one? And if not Donald, who?
Well, here to take us through his thoughts is a serious contender for the Project's Person of the Year, is Nick Bryant.
Oh, come on. A contender.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Look, does Time have it right? Is Donald Trump the Person of the Year?
Well, it's certainly a remarkable turnaround, isn't it? Because at the beginning of the year, you thought he might end up in a federal penitentiary, and he's on his way back instead to a federal mansion, the White House. So partly for that reason alone, they said his comeback gave him Person of the Year. Generally, if you win the presidency, you win the Person of the Year. It happened to Donald Trump in 2016. Barack Obama won it the 2 years he won the presidential election. George W. Bush won it twice when he won the presidential elections twice. Nixon got edged out by the American astronauts. Kennedy got edged out by American scientists. A revenge of the nerds moment, if you will. But, you know, Donald Trump won the presidency, so generally you get Time Person of the Year.
So what is normally the criteria for this? We were sort of debating it in the office. I don't think any of us knows. How do they choose?
Well, it's not like a Nobel Peace Prize where you're rewarded for your contribution to humanity. It's not like a Lifetime Achievement Award in the Oscars, although Donald Trump might merit that for his performance in Home Alone 2, obviously.
Yes. Amazing.
I mean, they judge it on your impact on news, for better or worse. And they said Donald Trump has made this remarkable turnaround, which is true. I mean, he's the first president since the late 19th century to make a comeback like this. They say he's reshaped American politics, which is true, ever since he came down that golden escalator almost 10 years ago. And he has reshaped the presidency, which is true, and also deeply, deeply worrying.
Nick Bryant, who else was on the shortlist?
Well, Kamala Harris was on the shortlist, but she lost, so she doesn't get to be Time Person of the Year. Elon Musk was on the shortlist, and he's basically ended up as the co-president, so he'll get something out of this year in the end. And Kate Middleton was on the shortlist as well. You know, tough year with the battle against cancer, but, you know, it was Donald Trump that edged them all out. And like I say, in the year that you win the presidency, you generally get the Time Person of the Year.
All right, Nick. Well, it does, to me, feel like a relic of a bygone era. So does Time Person of the Year, does it matter? Does it carry any weight?
Well, it does for Donald Trump, and I think that's the key. He's got this fixation about Time Person of the Year. He's made this boast in the past that nobody's been on the cover of Time more than he has. He appeared, first of all, in 1989, but like so many things that come out of Donald Trump's mouth, that isn't actually true. And there was a story uncovered by the Washington Post that there are a couple of fake Donald Trump Time covers that were put up on the walls of his golf club. So, you know, he has got this weird thing about it. He thought he should win it not only in 2016 but 2017. I think every year in his own mind, Donald Trump is Time Person of the Year.
Oh, Donald Trump believing fake news? What on earth? Nick Bryan, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Look, I think for me, it makes actually quite a lot of sense, given that criteria that Nick just took us through, that, of course, it was going to be President Trump.
Oh, you
who
could see
is on the
where
cover of
election
Time
year,
magazine.
Kamala Harris would have been there otherwise, very
of
clearly.
Course. For me, though, because 2024 was the Olympic year, I cannot go past the Fox sisters. So Jess Fox, Noemi Fox. There they are. This is my cover of People of the Year. Yes, I made it, Sam. I cut it out of collage. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I did all of that because I just think that what that family, the Fox family, I mean, we can put their parents in as well, has done for that sport, but also just sport in Australia, and the wonderful story of theirs is something that I'll always remember. Yeah.
I saw one of the best comedy shows I've ever seen in my life this year. So my Person of the Year personally is Sarah Keyworth from the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Most phenomenal comedian. But I also think on a global scale, Simone Biles. I mean, the year goes by quite quickly, but my cover would look like this.
Hey, look at that.
Incredible.
Gold.
Do I get a crack at it?
Have a go.
I would say Hannah Rawiti Mapey-Clark, who was the New Zealand MP who did the haka.
Yes,
the youngest MP in New Zealand.
Was there a Photoshop tutorial that I missed?
Where do you think we were all afternoon?
Look, well then in my...
What
you
have
can't
you
go...
got?
If we're going
What
on
have
kind
you
of
got?
impact and
I'll
news
tell you where
headlines...
you were, doing your hair.
No, I was in the green room, boom, boom, boom. Ray gun, of course, ray gun. It has to be. There's no one's made more impact. I mean, that's beautiful.
And that's the reaction from the audience.
I do say that. But again, if we are talking about the influence on the news headlines, I can see where you were going.